Not only do we as seasoned moms need to start talking about childbirth, child rearing, and the healthy version of pregnancy and recovery without trauma dumping onto another generation, but we also need to keep these conversations in front of men because men do not have the same collective experience that we have. And really, it started about 100 years ago that men got just so completely disconnected from this process through the idea of it being like a modern way of handling things now, especially with the advent of formula and just even wet nursing going away completely. It feels like men got totally swept out of the equation. I remember it was about 10 years ago that I saw this beautiful photographic essay that was done on women breastfeeding their children prior to the formula revolution. And though the formula revolution definitely had some benefits with women who struggled to be able to nurse, it took something that was considered completely natural, done in public on a regular basis, and tucked it behind closed doors as if it was something like we don't talk about that anymore. And then as hospitals took over from the place of in-home midwifery, that husbands were no longer, or fathers were no longer part of the birth process, that it became this kind of disconnected world that now when we start to talk about these things with people, these things that are very factual and need to be known, it feels almost like there's an ick to it. Which is so interesting because the one uniting universal thing that every culture, every end of the earth has in common is how babies are made, and that babies are born, and that babies are fed. These are three things that every culture has, and we all handle it a little bit differently, but quite frankly, it's a uniting force. There should be more information on this instead of less. There should be more times we're discussing this instead of less. Like, the facts here should abound, not shrink. And when we talk about basic facts like diastasis recti being like something that's like a fear-mongering or don't let's be scary, like I had to have surgery to correct my diastasis recti this year because it was broken. It was something I wasn't able to rehab. But you know what wasn't talked about? Pelvic floor rehab wasn't something that was discussed with me at any of my childbirth experiences. That was something I elected to go to because I knew I wasn't able to rehab my diastasis recti on my own. Pelvic floor rehab is not just for your pelvic floor, it's for your entire guts. It's to keep everything together, to be able to keep you healthy. Like, it will never make sense to me that we can make jokes about women sneezing and peeing their pants, but we're not able to talk about pelvic floor rehab when in reality, sneezing and peeing is abnormal. You should be in pelvic floor rehab if that's happening. That's not being negative, that's just telling somebody how to heal. Like, that's positive, that's going, here is help. Like, it's sending a lifeline to people who think that abnormal is normal. Now again, we don't want to trauma dump and we don't want to give misinformation, but we do want people to have these conversations so they can know other people's experiences. It's weird that we gatekeep a collective experience.